And we've even had like tech stories where and I'm laughing at this too, Tommy. Like I just got the video stream up. Apologies, everybody. The video stream is now live. It was not live till right now. Product of what we're talking about right now, because I'm like frantically, I'm like, Tommy, I can't get into the video stream. Like, what is happening? And so either way, so we run these stories and we're like, you have to have these robust passwords, and here's how you can come up with this incredible pass. And I'm like, guys, we have to log into 684 things. How is that possible to even do that? And I give it my best college try to mix them up a little bit and do all this stuff. That is not reasonable. And so then, even if you did that and you're like at your home computer and you save it all and something like this happens, all of those passwords that you'd never remember that you made so complex are gone. And
Well,
then
and
what
now,
do you do?
now you've got, obviously all of your personal things, and all the passwords for all the personal things. But then, like, you also have to layer in a lot, and I have to do this. A lot of people have to layer in work platforms and work
Yes.
passwords, and
Yes.
and like our company, and I totally applaud them for this. They want to avoid hackers and they want to avoid bad actors and things like that. So they make it relatively complicated, and you have to change your password every 90 days, and like all these other things that are going on, which I appreciate all of that. But then you've got to try to remember what you're doing on that side and remember what you're doing on your personal side. It can be a lot.
It's anywho. So that, if you see me freak out, man, today on the show, that's why. Because I mean, all of it. I'm like, all right, let's hop on Twitter so we can do this, and let's hop in our video platform so we can do this, and let me open up that email and the work portal as you're mentioning here, and I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. But we're surviving. We're surviving on a Friday. It's gonna
If it
be a
makes you
great
feel
Friday.
any better, you have to deal with that. And I told you about this yesterday. I got to deal with the DMV today,
Ooh.
which is always fun, especially on a Friday. So you and I were talking. I've got to get in line. I got to text a number here at 7:30 to get in line for the DMV, and then as soon as they call my number, I got to go to the DMV. So my hope is, because lines are usually long and it's very slow, that it will be after the show is done. But like we're late on the video stream and you're frantic. If you see me just get up and leave at one point during the show, that means I'm going to the DMV.
Well, you can call us while you're driving. I mean, there's
Deal.
there's ways we can work around it. So I don't know. Are you like Sedgwick County does a good job of this, and I don't know if this is helpful to you at all. But there is a way to schedule a DMV appointment, essentially, like the tag office. You can set the time that you're going to go in Sedgwick County, and it's life-changing, like life-changing, because you just show up at your time and you're at the front of the line. It's the best thing ever. You
Yeah.
just set the time.
Unfortunately, I'm about 100 yards away from the county line, and I'm in Butler County. So, fortunately, I don't have to drive to El Dorado, which is nice. There's a
Yep.
Western office, which I do appreciate, but that option has not made its way to Butler County as of yet.
Well, that's too bad. Shout out to Sedgwick. And by the way, if you're in Sedgwick County and you have to do that, like you can't even really get there anymore. They're so busy. You go online, schedule an appointment, you set it up, and you show up, you move right to the front of the line, bing, bang, boom, you're in and out of there in no time at all. So uh life hack there if you're dealing with Sedgwick County Tag Office. Sorry for those who do not have that technology, but it's great. Anywho, we are right. Hey, here we go. Right, we're live here now on the air, which we have been, but on our video stream as well. You can leave us your comments there. We haven't gotten a lot accomplished today. Haven't missed much. We just griped about the Royals for about 5 minutes there in the first segment, and we'll go back to that because we have Jaylon Thompson coming a little later in the show. You know what I get to do to follow this technology nightmare? I'm going to go lay mulch for about 6 hours after this. You own your own business. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it myself. So I got to go lay mulch at stores, back at the house. I'm gonna need a Crestview Country bar visit, Crestview Country Club bar visit tonight. Get in there and soak it up a little bit.
At least you don't have to worry
Chill.
about 93 degrees and windy 30-mile-an-hour winds like we had yesterday.
Yeah, it's intentional that today the weather will be good today. It's enjoyable. I haven't got to Hank Hill much yet this year. So this will be like the first toe dip into the water of yard work, but it doesn't feel the same when you have to do it for businesses and don't get paid for it. That's not quite as enjoyable. But we'll be doing that. And yeah, maybe I'll be at Crestview for those listeners who are there tonight, as just like with a dead back, and I'm sitting there and I'm soaking it up. We appreciate their support. Get out to Crestview, give them a call, check out the facilities. They're fantastic. 36 holes of golf, which are very usable now. Be a great day for golf. Wish I was doing that. All right. So let's talk portaling. Jordan jumps right in on X, and we appreciate this, Jordan. With the last 4 or 5 scholarships, Wichita State's left. What type of players from the portal should they go after with the roster and type of players they currently have? Jordan, okay, so I'm glad Jordan says this. Jordan's excited about the player yesterday out of Temple. Unless I missed one, Tommy, that's got to be who Jordan's talking about now,
Yeah,
correct?
that's right.
So, I am not quite as excited. Dylan Batee. He was a nice high school prospect, but he didn't do anything at Temple, who plays in the same league as Wichita State. So I don't know. I would say, to answer Jordan's original question with what do they need to do still, I would say go get experienced players who can fill it up already, right? I've never been a big, and I don't know that this has worked for a lot, like, oh, this guy was a great high school prospect, but it wasn't working out at his college. Like that, I don't remember a time. Like I would rather see guys that it has worked out in college. Yeah, does that make any sense? Like I like the idea of a top end but they have 3 and 4 star unproven players. I need some guys there that are proven that can fill it up a little bit with those last spots.
For me, I think it's pretty simple that even with the addition of Batee, there's not a player currently on the roster for Wichita State that is taller than 6'8". Like they need a big. That's the biggest priority for me. They need a big. There's still no, and this is according to Taylor Eldridge, there's still no word on Mate Vajniak and if he'll return to the team. And let's be real, when he did play last season, he was ineffective for the most part. And so, like that to me, that's not a needle mover, even if he does come back. And if he does, if he can take a step forward this offseason, that'll be a nice development, but I'm not banking on that. They need a big, they need somebody with some height. They need somebody with some size. They need somebody that can go up and get, rebounds and that sort of thing, because even Dylan Batee, and I know it was limited time for him at Temple last season, he averaged under 2 rebounds a game at 6'8". And then from there, you've got the incoming freshman Noah Hill from Sunrise. I don't know how much he's going to play this season as an incoming freshman. He's also 6'8". But Karan Boyd, I mean, he averaged, a little over 7 rebounds a game. I mean, that's nice, but he's only 6'5". So I think that you really need a dedicated big on the roster, and that should be, at least in my opinion, where Paul Mills is attacking the portal next.
Yeah, they don't have a center. Like they don't have one, and they've had Quincy Ballard there for the entirety of Paul Mills, I believe, at Oral Roberts operated with true centers. So they need one for sure. There's no doubt about that. And I assume there are some out there. It's an interesting roster right now. I'm not making any proclamations about the roster, just that it's a bit unproven is all. And last year the roster coming in was very proven, right? We knew what we were going to get out of that team. There wasn't a lot coming in or out, and there were a couple of players, and they were proven players. So we got into it, and like you see Corey Washington come in, and Corey Washington was a proven player at a program, and they made an NCAA tournament and all those things. So now we get into it, and Keandre Kendall was I think a JUCO second team All-American at Barton. You like that? Kenyon Giles has, he's right now he's probably your headline guy. Boyd, we know, is in for defense. But when you look at a guy like Batee, and Taylor Eldridge wrote that he's, Mills liked him out of high school. He's not, to me, all that different than Zion Pipkin or TJ Williams or Noah Hill, who you mentioned. Those are all sort of high school guys in that range. So it's harder than ever now in college basketball to try to guess at what are those guys going to do, right? What does the development look like in an off season for a young player? We almost never get that anymore, because now it's like you got to go and get your players from small schools early. Like the young players that fit this range, growing within a program of the status of a Wichita State, it just doesn't happen as often anymore. Because if they do grow, they're probably not going to be there the next year, right? That's the reality of it. And that's not just Wichita State. I mean, it's everywhere. Haggerty is in the portal for Memphis. Like there is so much craziness to this. This is peak chaos. This is peak chaos. Matt Norlander said yesterday that there are schools assembling $10 million plus rosters. I mean, it is wild, wild stuff right now. You got a coach saying he thinks there are 20 or more schools in the $7 to $9 million range, bad players playing for big money. Like, I don't know what programs are supposed to do right now because of what's being promised to this kids. It feels inevitable that those promises are going to be broken, that money isn't actually there. And so all the bad actors, as you've heard Kevin Saul call them over the past couple of years with us, like there's just going to be a lot of people lying, promising things that isn't delivered. And this is where like we've hit a fever pitch. I think this is the peak. I don't know if it ends after this year, but I would say this is the worst it will get, and then it will begin to get better.
So I think it does bring up a really good question if that's the case. And I don't disagree with Matt Norlander and what he's saying. I mean, I believe it. I don't doubt any of the stories about large budgets and all of that. But I think it brings up a really good question as it relates to Wichita State, knowing that it is pure chaos and knowing that there are no guardrails and that things are just, it's like the wild, wild west out there. Does that give Paul Mills a longer leash for success? Should we give him, the benefit of the doubt and some grace in this time period until things settle down and there are actual, guardrails and regulations and a blueprint on how teams and schools go about NIL and building a roster? Should we give him a hall pass until that's all said and done because things are just so chaotic right now?
Should we?
Well, should the fan base, should Shocker Nation, I think the university will for
the
sure.
University will. Should we? That's an interesting question. Every coach is operating within this. And I don't even know outside of, the really premier programs, what coaches can really do to help it, right? Like a lot of this, I think, is happening even outside of the realm of what a coach can control or handle. So should we? I think you have to evaluate it more on what you see on the floor, right? Like the concerning thing for me is back-to-back years of dreadful conference play out of the gates. Why did that happen? How does that happen? Why does that happen? How did that happen? Right? But especially last year when we know that team was pretty good. So that, I look at more of that kind of stuff. I don't think Paul Mills has a whole hell of a lot of control over who they're able to bring in through the portal. Now he can go try to pick players, but you've only got what you've got, right? Like you can't outspend money you don't have. So I think that part of it isn't as, that's more big picture stuff. I don't think that's something. I think we have to look at how are these players developed? Are they consistent? I thought one of the really great things Paul Mills did last year that he deserves a ton of credit for, and where I was kind of like, okay, was when Wichita State changed its identity in the middle of the season. And so, they were good playing a certain way through the non-con. Then they got into conference, had that really terrible stretch. They kind of redefined themselves and got really good again in a different way. I think that was as impressive as anything Paul Mills has done in his 2 years at Wichita State. So those are the kinds of things I think as fans, when it comes to coaches, we have to try to look at. And that's different than, how we might evaluate Bill Self at Kansas. Bill Self's going to be able to go get the players that he needs to go get, right? His situation's a little bit different. So we probably do need to look at that a little bit differently. And it's program to program. And Wichita State, again, the old chicken and egg, they've got this dilemma where they need these funds to be able to go get these players, but they need the fan base motivated enough through winning to get it done. It's a hard time. Again, I think this is the worst. Like this is it. This is the peak of the bad with the portal and all this stuff. If it lasts another year, I guess I wouldn't be all that surprised. But I think, let's call it 3 seasons from now, and I hope it's 2, this kind of off season is done. Like, this is the worst of it because it's just not realistic. It's not sustainable. These kids are going to have broken promises. You can put it in ink that we will be hearing stories this time next year about all the kids that were promised something and it wasn't given to them. It's happened in some of the other sports at lower levels. You're going to get some high profile stuff like that happening. There's no question. There's no way that this kind of money can get flung around like this.
Well, and then I also think that you're going to end up having, on the flip side, you're going to have universities, you're going to have NIL collectives and, all the different things that go into paying these players. You're going to have them probably realize at some point that some of their investments were not very well thought out and not good investments on their part. The return wasn't there. So I think that I always have been, and I think you are the same way that I am. Our philosophies in life are probably about the same. I'm a free market person, right? Like, let the market dictate how things go. That's the way I've always been. And there is a part of me from a free market perspective where I'm like, you know what? Let them overpay for these players. And let
they actually pay them.
Right. Well, for sure. Like, let them overpay for them, and then they're not going to get the return on their investment. And then naturally, at least I would think, and maybe oversimplifying it, the market will start to go down and it'll settle itself out. But I do think that in the interest of expediting the process and getting us to a point to where it's quicker, yeah, somebody's going to need to step in and put guardrails in place, just because I think if not, it's going to take a whole lot longer for the free market to settle itself down.
Free market's got to be honest. We can continue this discussion because we've got some KU portal news that we want to get to and some good viewer commentary and questions that we'll want to get to as well. So stick with us. We'll have a chance to win some HTO later in the program. Tommy's still here. The DMV has not called yet. So that's good. That's good for us, not for Tommy, but good for us. You can ditch your afternoon meetings. We'll be right back.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
FH.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Sports Daily. We are glad to be with you here on this Friday. We will get more portal talk here. We will get all the good things. Tommy, it is a Friday, which means we need you to tell us about your Friday fit.
Yeah, it's the Friday Fit with our friends over at 3570 Golf Co. We do it every single Friday. They are a locally owned golf apparel company from right here in Wichita. All of their designs embody this part of the country, the heartland, the Midwest. It's got that feel, that flavor to it. Today, I'm wearing the hardwood polo. It's got a college basketball theme to it. And they've got that and a bunch of other great designs of apparel. We're talking golf polos, hats, head covers, hoodies. They've got a ton of great apparel. Whether or not you're a golfer, maybe you're just looking to refresh your wardrobe or, find some new clothes to wear to work or wear around the house or out in public. Doesn't matter what you're looking for. They've got you covered. 3570 Golf Co. Support a local Wichita-owned business, and you can go and check them out online, 35x70golfco.com. Check out their entire selection. If you use the promo code Tommy, you'll get 10% off your first order.
And you just happen to have it on under under just a little Masters polo there.
It's just a humble brag, a little bit of a flex. I wasn't going to say anything. You brought it up, but if you're going to bring it up, I'll talk about it.
Yeah, just no big deal. No, nothing to see here. We're talking portal. We'll get to KU in just a second because there's a player in there. Tommy and I both have a sneaking suspicion they may be getting in on a couple other things. I think. As Jordan's got a good conversation going here. He asked how we think Greg Marshall would have done in the transfer portal era. I think in fairness to it, there was a long time ago where I thought, I don't know. It's a good question. It's one that people ask all the time, Jordan, honestly. I think that there's probably two paths there. One, I envision a path where he could cherry pick older players that he liked to fit and buy in. And I think there could have been a chance for great success. I also think about the level of momentum the program was feeling in those peak years and the amount of, money he potentially could have spent. At the same time, I also remember the transfer issue really started rearing its head at Wichita State toward the end of Greg Marshall's time. And so I don't know that no program in the country is keeping its players right now consistently. There, I shouldn't say no. That's hyperbole. There aren't very many programs in the country that are able to retain players right now in the current state. So a couple of years ago through NIL and the portal, I think is different than right now. It's interesting. Like Bill Self in Kansas, as we make that transition, have retained players over the past couple of years better than anybody. It didn't work out for them, right? But Houston did too. But, Houston brought in LJ Cryer. Auburn brought guys back, but those were guys that at one point had transferred in. So it's really hard to try and take any consistency out of what we're seeing because it's so inconsistent. Case in point, Memphis is going to lose Haggerty now. I mean, Shocker fans know well PJ Haggerty is a baller, and he's a second team All-American. Penny doesn't usually lose guys like this. Penny goes and takes them. Penny's getting a little of that. Kind of probably makes Shocker fans feel pretty good. So Haggerty's in 20 points a game. Dude's a baller. We saw him just shred Wichita State at times. Tommy, the second you sent me that yesterday, what was the first thing I said?
Probably somebody that Bill Self is going after. You and I were talking about the same thing yesterday.
We had the same idea. And I think the reason isn't that it's just a good player. The reason for me is they haven't gone and thrown that big bag at anybody yet. They probably did to some degree to Flory Badunga, but the guys that KU has brought in so far are not like the premier dudes. Now, of course, Darren Peterson is going to be expensive. He'll be a top guy probably as far as compensation. So they have them. But, man, when I saw Haggerty and I think about what KU could really use on this roster, I would be stunned if they're not one of the teams most aggressively pursuing him. And I don't think it's a coincidence that KU has maybe held on to, some of its eggs and not put them all in one basket yet.
I think the biggest question mark that I have on all of this is what is Haggerty's appetite to play off ball? Because by all accounts, the main guy, the main ball handler for Kansas is going to be Darren Peterson. But I do think that if you can combine Peterson and Haggerty and have them sort of go back and forth, like maybe sometimes Haggerty handles the ball, sometimes Peterson does, the other one plays off ball, that would be an insane combination offensively for the Jayhawks. I just don't know what Haggerty's appetite is. And honestly, to be completely real, outside of the Wichita State games and the American tournament, I didn't really watch a whole lot of Memphis. And so I don't know off the top of my head how often PJ Haggerty played off ball and how much he was the primary ball handler for the Tigers. I'd have to go back and look at that. But that would be my only question mark. I do think from a overall holistic point of view, it does make a lot of sense. And the fact that you've got one of the best scorers in the nation entering the portal, and you've got the Jayhawks who are in desperate need of a scorer and they haven't filled that spot yet. To me, it just kind of seems like this sort of thing has potentially come together and the stars may align to where this could make a whole lot of sense.
I think it makes sense because he's a really good player. I don't know if he's the right fit man, it's hard to not see him as a fit somewhere. I just like KU. The question is probably more about like what Rick is asking us on YouTube right now, which is he's a scorer and a ball dominant guard with no defense. Okay. And that may be what Peterson does too. But at some point, like you just can accumulate talented players that can score and do these things. I'll be surprised if they're not in on him. I think you can make it work. They just need some dudes. Now, can you get him to play the level of defense that he'll need to play? I don't know. Like that gets a little more complicated. It's hard to know because, and this is no offense intended to Penny Hardaway, but the way Haggerty would be coached will be very different at Kansas than he was at Memphis, right? Memphis would be more, I would imagine, like an NBA environment, right? You take the ball, go ISO, go score. We all, you always hear NBA defense, blah, 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 blah. No. Like, so is it the right fit stylistically with Peterson? What I don't want to do, Tommy, what scares me a little bit, and I know you, and I'm pro Darren Peterson, don't get me wrong. I think putting all your eggs into the basket of a freshman. Remember Quentin Grimes? Like, I think you got to be careful with that. And to have
Grimes wasn't the primary ball handler, though. I mean, he was.
No, I just mean
to go in and shoot.
I mean putting too many expectations on a freshman, right? You just don't know how it translates.
Have you watched this incoming freshman play? Have you seen any of his?
Well, yeah, I've seen lots of incoming freshmen
up
play.
like nearly 50 points in high school games. I mean, like the dude is as sure of a thing coming into Kansas.
I'm not saying he's not a good player. I just don't know how his role has been. Grady Dick was the Gatorade National Player of the Year. He got to Kansas and he shot threes. Right? Like, so I want to be careful. I just want to be careful if there are opportunities to get proven college players to want too much out of a freshman, I guess. I just want to be careful with it. Not saying it doesn't fit. I think Darren Peterson's going to end up being the primary scorer for Kansas. Don't get me wrong. But it's not going to hurt if you've got a couple of guys who can go get you buckets, especially based on what we've seen out of Kansas the last couple of years. Like they've needed that desperately. They need guys that can go get them buckets. That's what they've lacked
and
so
that's
much.
What Darren Peterson does. Like Darren Peterson he's a shot creator. He's an offense creator. He goes and he gets buckets. That has been, I would argue, that over the last 2 years for Kansas, that's been the biggest thing that the Jayhawks have lacked, has been somebody to go and create their own shot. It's been either feed the ball down low to Hunter Dickinson or give the ball to somebody to try to shoot a three, and that really hasn't been successful for them.
And they don't
they hadn't had anybody like that. That strategy didn't work. They have not had anybody in the last couple of years that can go and get them a bucket. Like just go and make it happen.
Agree.
And that's Darren Peterson. That's his game. That's always been his game. I don't care if he's a freshman or if he's 35 years old. Like that's been his game.
But right now, he's the only guy on the roster that does that. Is what I'm saying.
Zero. One's better than none.
No. I'm not. You're. I think we're agreeing. I think like I'm saying, go get another one of those guys. Is what I'm saying with Haggerty. Go get a couple of guys that can go get you buckets. Don't put everything into. Like, if we know that's been the problem for this team for a while, they're not going to generate offense in the post the way that they have for the last 2 years, really the last 3 years or 4. So if you're not going to do that, and they're not based on what they have right now, that's not what Flory Badunga is going to do. They're not going to give Flory.
What you want Flory Badunga to do anyway.
No, but he's not taking 18 shots a game like Hunter. That's not going to happen. So, okay, then where is that offense going to come from? And that's where I think you see a guy like Haggerty who can get buckets. Put him out there with Peterson. Now you got 2 guys that can go get buckets. Because guess what? They still don't have great shooters on this team. So why not go get another one is what I'm saying. Don't not go after a guy like Haggerty because he does some of the same things as Peterson, I think is my point. Go get them both. Go get 2 guys that can go get you buckets. How many NBA teams right now, Tommy, are filled up with guys who can go get buckets, and that's it, right? If you've got 2 guys that can isolate defenders, I think that's what I mean. Like, don't just because Peterson does some of the similar things, don't let that say, well, they don't need Haggerty, they have Peterson. Go get them both. I think it's my point.
Go look at a team like Florida, right? The national champion. Or go look at a team like Auburn or a team like Alabama. And I know that the whole three of those are SEC teams, but those teams, they had players and they have players that just go and get buckets. Like that's what they do. That's what they're built on. Playing quick, playing fast, but then creating offense. And that's been, I mean, it was as simple as watching. I remember when Alabama played Auburn, watching them play in conference play. And I'm like, man, this is night and day different than what the Jayhawks do. And it's explosive and it's powerful and all of that. And Kansas is running their set. They're throwing it down to Dickinson and then, playing inside out. And it's like they had one identity, one strategy, and it didn't work. And so I think now, of course, you've got to shift and you've got to look at, okay, who can go out there and create some offense and get us some buckets?
Think about Houston. Okay, Houston's a perfect example. Houston, what was Houston's offense? This is one of the great teams we've seen lately that should have won a national championship, perhaps. What was their offense? Their offense was give the ball to Cryer or Sharp and just let them go. That was their offense. And that was a team that should have just won the national championship. So go get Haggerty and let that be your offense. I have no problem with that. And then have everybody else be dogs, right? That can play defense. Like, I love that idea. So go get Haggerty with Peterson. That's all I'm saying. Like, don't let that scare you away. I'm intrigued by that. I think it's a great idea. We'll come back. We got another hour. We got to talk Royals. We got to talk Chiefs. Talked yesterday. We'll have it all for you coming up.
This
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrock and Tommy Kester.
All right, welcome back in. It's Sports Daily. We got another hour going for you here on a Friday. Glad to be here with you. Jaylon Thompson will be in a little bit later to talk some Kansas City Royals, talk us off a ledge maybe a little bit. I'm not quite to the ledge. I'm just annoyed. So we'll get to the latest on what's being said. That's the vibe in the locker room, all those things coming up. We've got the Chiefs talking yesterday with the NFL draft looming. Let's get into this, Tommy. We'll start right here with the Chiefs, and maybe we get into it and continue it into the next segment too. So you sent me something, and I kind of read through the quotes. The Chief, what was it? The Chiefs saying that they only feel good about 12 or 13 players in the first round or first round grades. What is it? Something like that?
Brett Veach said yesterday that the Chiefs have around 12 to 13 players with first round grades in this year's draft, which would mean that when they get to number 31, if one of those guys is on the board, then at least they've graded them out in the first round. And then Brett Veach has what he calls the secondary wave. That's the late first round, early second round. And there's a lot of guys apparently in that wave of players that they like.
So that's a smokescreen, I think. So, why would any GM tell you what they think of players before the draft? Honestly.
Well, he didn't go specific. He didn't say,
no, I know.
These are the guys.
But to me, that's a little bit of a strategy. Is strategy insight, because what are you doing when you would tell somebody that? We really probably only like 14 or 15 guys. We really like that second tier. So when I hear that, I hear we want to trade down, right? That's what that would lead me to believe based on what he says. Based on what he says right there, it would make you think, yeah, they could trade down because they feel better. They think there are a lot of guys in that secondary. They don't really have first-round grades on very many players anyway. So that's what you're trying to say when you say that. And then I think, why on earth would any GM ever tell you what they actually think before the draft? They wouldn't. That would be stupid. Like, you can't do that. Like, think about your own fantasy football. Are you really going to go talk up the player you love to the guy you're trying to trade with? So I hear what he's saying. I imply what he's trying to do, and I think it's a smokescreen, and they're going to trade up. I thought that yesterday. I sent you that yesterday. I read this morning Matt Miller of ESPN reporting that he's hearing the Chiefs do have a player that they really like, pointed out, and they do want to move up to go get them. And it's probably a left tackle. So like that was Matt Miller this morning on ESPN. So
okay. I take the comments from Brett Veach a different way than you do. I took it as, hey, when we get to number 31, there are a handful of guys that we really like. Like, we have not pinpointed one of them specifically that we're going to go after. We don't have our sights set on one or two guys. We have 12 or 13 in the first round that we like, that we've graded out as a potential first rounder. And if any of them are still available at 31, then at that point we'll evaluate to take them. That's the way I took it. I didn't take it as we don't like anybody, and so we're going to trade down or trade up, or it's a
no. I'm not saying they don't like anybody. I'm saying they like a lot of guys, so they'll just trade down to get draft capital. That's
that may be. I took it more, I guess, more at face value when I read it than you did. I saw it as, oh, cool, they've got options when it gets to 31. There's a lot of different guys that they like. And if any of them are available at 31, then they'll feel good about taking them. That's just the way that I took that comment.
Yeah, and that's the point, I think, of why you do these things. You want the most noise you can get. I just think, like, to me, it's a draft where they can move up. Because they brought basically everybody back. So they have the ability, they can afford to do it. It's always been about, how do they feel about certain players? Do they like a player enough to move up and go get them? So I hear that as, because if you're going to trade up, the last thing you want anybody to know is that you're going to trade up. You don't want whoever it is you would perceive that might also be interested in that. But let's take the Texans, for example. The Texans, who are in desperate need of a tackle. They traded away Laramie Tunsil, right? They are going to need an offensive lineman too. They're going to be drafting later in the draft, like the Chiefs. The last thing you want is for the Texans to have any indication that you might be wanting to get ahead of them to take a player that they like. Because then what would they do? They would then get aggressive and try and trade up and do that. What you do want is at the last minute in that spot, you to make that call and be like, here's what we'll give you. We're ready to move up. And they don't have a chance to react to it. So that's why, like, for me, when I hear those comments, again, why would a general manager ever play their hand to the media at a media briefing before the draft? They wouldn't. You wouldn't in fantasy football, right? You wouldn't do that. So I think it's an option. Will they do it? Again, it's based on the player. This isn't, by all accounts, like a tackle-heavy class, but that doesn't mean there aren't good tackles or that the Chiefs don't love a particular player. That means
I'm sure they do.
Mel Kiper Jr. doesn't think it's a so it doesn't really matter. It just matters, like, do the Chiefs like somebody enough to go make that kind of move? And we don't have their board. We don't know that answer. But that comment tells me it's on the brain. I think there's a real chance they move up, especially. And I always thought that.
Yeah, my biggest concern if they go left tackle or offensive line in general in the draft is that is the one Achilles heel in the draft for Brett Veach. I mean, more so than anything else. There have been some swings and misses. There's been some swings and misses in other positions in the Brett Veach era. But by and large, he's been a pretty good drafter, especially late in draft. He's been able to find diamonds in the rough and develop them into really good players. But it's been, I mean, there's a pretty decent sample size that the Chiefs have not been good at evaluating and picking tackles or an offensive lineman out of the draft. And so that would concern me if they have identified, I don't care if he's the top left tackle on the board in the first round nationally, that would concern me if the Chiefs are like, hey, we're going to give up whatever we need to move up and get a guy like that, simply because it's not even a knock on the guy. I don't know if it's Josh Connerly Jr. or whoever it is. It's not a knock on the guy. It's just the fact that the Chiefs have not graded out offensive linemen very well early on in drafts. That's been an area they've really struggled in.
They've missed on a lot of positions early in drafts. I mean, they hit too, but they're kind of a boom or bust. With the Chiefs, it's either like you get Mahomes or Trent McDuffie, right? Or you get Felix Anudike-Uzomah or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like they're a little bit boom or bust there, but it's okay because they're such a good drafting team in the middle to late rounds that it's made up for it, right? It's not even a big deal. And you take that. It's fine. Like the Cowboys are a great early round drafting team, and they're not so great later in a draft. Like there's lots of different ways to being good at the draft. And the Chiefs, by and large, have been good at it. I would agree with you there. Their evaluation of left tackles has not been good. But what I would ask you then is, how much opportunity has there been at that position? You know what I mean? Like, it feels like they just continue to try to make something more than it is. And so if you evaluate a true college prospect with that kind of grade, I do think that's different than going to get Jawan Taylor and trying to convert him to a new position or something like that.
I do think that if they go and they draft a left tackle, trade up for one and go that in the first round, I do at least feel like there's a little bit more of a little parachute, for them. Like there's a safety net.
Oh yeah, they don't even have to play right away.
Right. Because they've got Jaylon Moore now. And I mean, it could be a committee. It could be left tackle by committee because you have so many guys that they have tried. Like Wanye Morris is still on the roster. Kingsley Suamataia, I know that they want to use him at the guard position, it sounds like, but they've got him on the roster. They've got other options where they wouldn't have to rush whoever this left tackle is right away. Now, if Jaylon Moore turns out to be a bust and it doesn't work for him, then there's going to be more pressure to get a guy rolling. But it's not like a situation like we saw entering last year where they didn't have a veteran left tackle on the roster, and it was Morris or Suamataia from day one, and neither one of them worked. There'd be a little bit more of a support system around whoever this rookie would be coming in to at least let that person grow into the role.
And you're going to need a right tackle likely after this season too, right? Like, because Jawan Taylor's not long for the Chiefs, right? He's just, it's contract right now that holds that back. So
yeah, they'll get out of that contract as soon as they absolutely can.
Right. So it makes sense. I thought that when you sent me that note yesterday based on that, and I kind of read through it, and that was the vibe I got. And then I saw that report this morning. I'm like, well, now they're not gonna, right? Because this guy's reporting that they want to, so now they won't. And it all really does depend. Like if the tackles get drafted early because that's what teams, then they won't have the opportunity to do it. So like mock drafts are crazy because you're trying to predict what you think one team will do, but that's based on what 31 other teams might do before. Like it's an impossible task. But if the chips fall right and you see a tackle start to slide, I really think there's a decent chance that they could move up and be done, and hopefully in their minds just be done with trying to evaluate that position for a while. It makes sense this year based on everything else they've done in the offseason, because they went out and they brought everybody back. They sort of addressed all their needs. They don't have right now on this glaring need that they must solve through the draft. That also gives you strength, though, to trade down or to select just at your spots the best players you think are the best players, which they've been really good at. They rebuilt a defense in a draft. So that's all out there. We can talk more about it. We got Royals talk as well coming up this hour. Stick around. It's Sports Daily on a Friday. We're getting you ready for the weekend.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Is the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message, so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of. It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Glad to be here with you. Jacob Albrock, Tommy Castor. It is a Friday. We're getting ready for the weekend. We're having fun with the NFL draft. We still haven't just made a bold prediction on the draft, and we'll do that next week. I just like the Chiefs fascinate me because they can literally do anything. This has been a weird offseason. Like they're not pigeonholed into anything. And that's pretty wild and crazy, right? Because they can trade up, they can trade down, they can take any position and it wouldn't surprise us. Literally, they could even take a backup quarterback in the first. It wouldn't surprise. Like they could do anything.
I mean, that would surprise me a little bit.
That might surprise me a little bit.
That's a little much.
That's a little much. But it's a weird place to be because it doesn't really. I guess I would say pass rusher would be the need, right? Like if you're trying to address a need for this team, it would be pass rusher. But I also think that they need to solve left tackle. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. What I don't buy into, Tommy, and we talked earlier this week with our Chiefs insider Felix Johnson. I don't think they're taking a wide receiver. That to me does not make sense. They've got like 5 of them, and like where would they play a rookie receiver again? Unless Rashee Rice, they have some indication of when he'll miss time. That's the one to me that's getting a lot of noise. Where I'm just like, but why? Why would they do that? I don't. That one doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, unless they want to stockpile young, talented, and cheap weapons offensively to surround Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I don't know if you can ever have enough of that necessarily, especially when you know what some of the top receivers around the league are getting contract-wise. I mean, I can understand that from a financial point of view, but from just a right-away usage point of view, no, that doesn't make a lot of sense for me. So would I be overly surprised if they went that direction? No, because they've went Worthy and Rice in the last 2 drafts early. I know Rice was a second rounder, but they've gone wide receiver early in the last 2 years. So it wouldn't surprise me one bit if either the first or second round pick was a wide receiver. Whether that's the right choice or not, probably not, at least right away. But again, stockpiling cheap weapons may not be a bad idea.
The other thing maybe on that is, no, I just don't, because you're going to have even if Rice loses time this year, I feel like they've backed that up. Okay. You're going to have Rice and Worthy for 2 more years minimum each, right? Like that's the one that's getting the run that I'm like, I don't, where would that player play for half of this season? Let's say Rice gets suspended for 8 games and they draft Luther Burden. Does he become your 5th wide receiver out of the gates? How do you even use that guy? Honestly, how do you even use that guy?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that it's going to be more of a abundance of riches and try to bring him along slowly. And, because remember, even though they did draft Rice and Worthy in consecutive drafts, both of those guys, they were forced into duty a little bit earlier than I think they wanted them to be. And it took them a while to get acclimated and accustomed to the NFL. I think that in an ideal world, if they were to bring in, again, I'm just saying hypothetically, a Luther Burden type guy, they would have the luxury that they haven't had in the last couple of seasons, you would think, to let a wide receiver develop and not throw him into the fire right away.
The only thing, and I think that makes sense to take a receiver in the draft. I'm not saying don't take a receiver. I'm saying why would you take one in the first, right? Like that, because you can.
We said that last year too when they took Worthy in the first round and they had Rice already on the
Rice
roster,
at that
right?
point, we didn't know what was happening with Rice's legal situation at that point, right? We thought he was going to get suspended like then. We didn't know this was going to drag out like that. So there were questions there. And even if there are questions there now, they have Hollywood Brown. They have Juju Smith-Schuster, who they didn't have at this time last year in the draft, I don't think. I think that came later. They have other things there to withstand the blow of a Rice absence, I think. If they knew Rice was going to be out the first 8 weeks, then okay, I could get maybe a little more on board with it. There's been nothing to indicate that, right? I think the next court case is when? In December was the last we heard. So I don't think anything is going to happen urgently. I suppose if you just don't love any of the players and you absolutely love a receiver that has fallen, okay. I just don't think that player is going to help you at all. And neither would a left tackle, I suppose, either. But here, let me say it this way. The Chiefs are never going to struggle finding receivers because they always have Patrick Mahomes. So the Juju Smith-Schusters of the world feel like they'll always be there to help bail them out to some degree. But here's the other thing on that, and I'll contradict myself. You got to think about Travis Kelce's exit too. So, are you ever going to be able to replace his production at tight end? No, I don't think so. So maybe that's it too. Maybe they do want to run 4 and 5 wide receiver sets. I would say, again, you don't need to take one in the first round to accomplish that. There are more urgent things that they could accomplish through pass rusher, offensive lineman, things like that. So we'll see. Lots of options, though. That's it. They're in a position of strength. There's no question about that.
By the way, as we're talking the draft, and I know this is kind of a right turn a little bit, did you catch any of the Aaron Rodgers comments yesterday on Pat McAfee?
No. I saw it. I've seen it. I just don't care, honestly. What did he say? He pretty nonchalant, pretty typical Aaron Rodgers stuff.
Yeah,
I'm guessing
pretty typical Aaron Rodgers. I mean, saying that he's not ruling out retirement as a possibility. He said that he's doing things on his own time. He's had some personal things going on. He doesn't feel like he's holding anybody hostage, which, I mean, I think he is. I mean, I think that the Steelers are a team that absolutely would like to know the direction that Rodgers is going to go before the draft, ideally. But typical Aaron Rodgers, I mean, kind of self-absorbed a little bit, like it's his universe and has a hard time with visibility outside of that and like how things impact other people. But he didn't rule out retirement as a potential, and he was critical of the Jets and the way that the Jets exit happened and the way that he was informed about that, which is not surprising. Typical Aaron Rodgers stuff.
I mean, is anybody surprised?
No.
The only thing I'll say about that, and the Steelers, we're not past the draft, so it's not, they haven't done nothing. But you can't be the Steelers have tethered themselves to this. I don't think they're dumb enough to not have a backup plan. I think they'll want an answer before the draft. And if they don't get an answer before the draft, they're going to draft a quarterback and they'll be done with it. And Aaron Rodgers won't have a place to play. Right? Like what?
You're right. I mean, you're right. Now, the one thing that he did say is that it's not about the money for him and that he would play. I think the number he said he would play for $10 million. And I'm like, you know what? If he'd play for $10 million, then if I'm the Vikings, I know they've got JJ McCarthy, but $10 million is a bargain to at least kick the tires on a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers.
No question.
And see what he can do out there.
But would he go there knowing he's a placeholder? Maybe he would. I
don't know.
I pondered that earlier in the offseason. That's great news. But again, it's not the point. It's not why. Like Pittsburgh feels like they can win a Super Bowl. They have to feel that way. And so, like, you can't just sit there. Like, if he's not there by the draft and you're Pittsburgh, and this is a draft where quarterbacks may slide to some degree, this is the year to go trade up for a quarterback if you're Pittsburgh, in my opinion.
Yeah, but if they feel like they're a quarterback away from a Super Bowl, are they a rookie quarterback away from a Super Bowl? I think that becomes the big question. Like with the roster that they've assembled, which is good and should be better than what it was a year ago, all together.
Yeah.
Whether it's a Shedeur Sanders or a Jalen Milroe or, whoever, like Jackson Dart, whoever these other guys are, Tyler Slough, do they feel like a rookie quarterback can lead a team to a championship if they're ready to go this season? That becomes the big question.
I don't know that you can think that way. I don't know that you can think that way because, I mean, look, and I'm not saying any of these quarterbacks are Jaden Daniels, but what I mean, like, you have to at least because let me ask you this: does a rookie quarterback, whichever one it is, do they give you more than Russell Wilson gave you last year? Because I think they could. I think they absolutely could. The way we've seen some rookies be able to come in year one and have impacts. What if you get CJ Stroud? What if you get Jaden Daniels, right? Like, what if you get one of these rookies that has come in and been high? What if you get Bo Nix, right? Nobody thought, but so I would say for the Steelers specifically, for the rest of us watching, can a rookie quarterback go in there and help them win a Super Bowl? Yeah, probably not. But for them, a rookie quarterback can come in and give them more than what they've had at quarterback for like 5 years. So I think if you're the Steelers, you got to think about it that way. Like if Aaron Rodgers doesn't give you an answer, and I don't even know where Pittsburgh picks in the first round off the top of my head, the question becomes, let's say it's
Isn't it like 21 or 22?
Let's
I
say
think
it's
is where their
Shedeur
pick
Sanders.
is.
Let's say because it's probably Cam Ward will probably end up going first and all this. Let's say it's Shedeur Sanders or even Jackson Dart. Well, two scenarios for you. It's Shedeur Sanders and you got to trade up to 5 to get him. Would you do that if you're Pittsburgh? What if it's trade up to 10 to get Jackson Dart? I mean, I think you really start to consider that if you're Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's the tough position that Pittsburgh is in, just considering the fact that they, as you mentioned, they're tied, for better or for worse, to the decision that Aaron Rodgers makes. And that's why if I'm an NFL GM, for the last, even going back to the last couple of years that Rodgers was in Green Bay and all the drama that happened with the front office in Green Bay, all the drama going to the Jets, that tenure, and now this. Like, I don't care if he's a future Hall of Famer. I don't care if he's a former MVP, a Super Bowl champion one time, like all of that. It's a headache and it's a pain in the butt to be tied to Aaron Rodgers and to be, at the mercy of the decision that he makes and his process and how he does it, because it is, it's frustrating because you've got an organizational goal. You've got organizational things that you have to accomplish. And you have to take the good with the bad. You have to take the annoyance with the talent. And it becomes a risk reward. It becomes a cost benefit analysis. Like, is the cost of Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not even talking dollars and cents, is the cost of Aaron Rodgers and having his whole aura and everything that comes along with him, is it worth the potential benefit that you might get? And what is that benefit? I mean, that benefit has diminished over the years. I think that everybody could say that. And so you have to weigh that, and it becomes really, really difficult to assess and evaluate. It would be hard for me as an NFL GM to want to swallow that and take that on and play that game.
I mean, I think if you're Pittsburgh, looking at the quarterbacks they have on the roster, it would be yes. It's worth it because they don't have anybody else. But is it a better option than trading up and drafting a rookie or crossing your fingers and holding your breath that a quarterback slides to them at 21? Who's the fourth quarterback right now on boards? Is it Quinn Ewers? Like, I don't know who it is after Ward,
probably
Sanders, and Dart.
It's probably Milroe. It's probably Jalen Milroe.
Okay, if it's Jalen Milroe, which I don't really like him as a pro prospect, but whatever. Let's say those guys one of those guys is sitting at 20. Jalen Milroe, those three other guys have gone, or it's Jalen Milroe or Quinn Ewers at 21. Just take the quarterback.
Yeah, just take him. Just take the quarterback. Yeah. Have yourself a little backup plan. I mean, I think that I would much prefer the Steelers to do that. If I'm the GM, I would do that as opposed to trading up.
Well, because you don't like the quarterbacks, though.
I don't like the quarterbacks. I mean, that's just me. I don't like the quarterbacks. I wouldn't trade up unless I knew that whether it was Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders were a sure thing, like a Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels type sure thing. And I don't think that either one of those guys is. I'm not saying that Ward or Sanders can't be a good professional,
right?
But I don't think it's guaranteed at the level that some of these other guys have been. Sure, I wouldn't trade up for them. I would stay at 21, 22, and I would get, if Milroe or whoever it is available, or even if, like, best case scenario for the Steelers is that Sanders slides all the way down to 21.
Well, that's not going to happen.
He in a lot of mocks, he has
smoke screens.
I'm just saying, I'm not discounting that possibility. That could happen. That's the best case scenario for the Steelers, but I wouldn't trade up to get him.
I would trade up to 10 to get him. Rather, if it's my opinion, I would rather have him at 10 and trade up than to take Milroe at 21. Just because I don't think Milroe's going to do much in the NFL. And obviously you know this and the listeners know this. I think Shedeur Sanders is going to be an above average NFL quarterback, which is much better than the Steelers have had in a long time. I mean, you got to go back, like, don't go back to just Ben Roethlisberger, because Ben Roethlisberger at the end was he was terrible. So you got to go way back to when the last time they had. I mean, Russell Wilson last year was serviceable, right? He had an okay year. I don't. I mean, Rodgers at $10 million is the best option. Let me put that out there. That's the best option still, which is why they're probably still putting up with this. But Rodgers at $10 million. I mean, heck yeah. But give me that if I'm Pittsburgh. And you can still do that and take one of these other guys. But I don't. Shedeur, I hope this noise is real and Shedeur slides and he has a chance to go to a good team and doesn't get stuck on a crap team that sucks. I hope that happens. That would be the best thing that ever happened to him. A kid that, like it doesn't, again, we talk about this, like situations in life, like he doesn't need the money of being the top, whatever. I'd much rather see him end up in a good situation because I think he's got the tools to be good. So,
I mean, I do think I really, the more that this plays out, I think that my gut tells me that the Giants are going to take Sanders, and then they're going to have a huge quarterback discussion with Wilson and Winston, and then they're going to have a lot of quarterbacks on that roster. But I think that that's going to be the most likely scenario. I don't think, I mean, the Steelers are not going to trade up that far to get Sanders, and so I do think that more than likely they will stand pat and they'll wait for whatever quarterback is left at 21.
The Giants taking Sanders and letting him sit for 6 to 8 games behind those guys with Malik Neighbors in the room, like I love that for Sanders. I do, because he wouldn't have to start right away, which you never, to me, like if you can avoid that for rookies, that's always a pretty good situation. I think it makes sense. And if you're the Giants and you're trying to make a decision on Shedeur Sanders, who cares if you have Jameis Winston on the roster, right? Like that shouldn't preclude you from taking a quarterback you think is worth taking at 3 because Jameis Winston's in the way. And I love Jameis Winston. He's one of my favorite players in the league. I think he's fantastic. I think he's so fun to watch and a great character in the league. But he's not holding them back from taking Shedeur Sanders. Neither is Russell Wilson. They'll either take Sanders because they like him or they won't. He's not falling out of it. Like some of this stuff, I can't. I just, man, we got to get. Maybe next week I need a scout to tell me like what is the knock on Sanders? Like what don't people like about him? Because I can't. He's accurate. He's brave, right? He's not afraid to take hit, all that stuff. We're going to have a lot to say about the draft next week. Because
I just want to say really quick, for the record, if you're out there looking for love, listeners, find somebody who loves you the way that Jacob loves Shedeur Sanders. And you have for the rest of your life.
Only contrarian in me. I don't think he's like the best prospect we've seen or anything. I just don't get why everybody doesn't like him. We'll come back. We'll have Royals talk next with Jaylon Thompson.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Is the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. It is Sports Daily. Jacob Albrecht here. Tommy had to step out and hit the DMV. So, it's me right now. We'll wait on Jaylon Thompson. See, he's a little behind schedule, so we're trying to get connected with him right now. But we can talk Royals either way as they fall again in Detroit. And that has been the theme here. Now losers of 4 in a row, losers of 6 out of their last 7 games. It's not been good lately, and it's not been good on this road trip. Only 1 win so far. It's a 10-game trip, and they're all, against teams that are postseason teams. So it is a tough spot in the schedule. But when we think about the Royals and the expectations that many of us have set on them, I told you I thought they were, a World Series representative type team out of the American League. These kinds of stretches do get a little curious. And it's been a lot of things. We've highlighted the trouble bridging the starting pitching to the pitching by the end of a game that we feel like they're strong at, but that has not been the biggest problem. The biggest problem clearly has been this team's ability to drive in runs. They're getting base runners 1 out of their last 21 with runners in scoring position is wild. We know this isn't a team. This team is not going to hit for power. Not much. They've got 3 guys in the lineup that can hit for decent power. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, who's been off to a slow start, and Vinny Pasquantino. And, power's not even Vinny's game as much as driving in runs typically is. He's been such a good run producer up there. It's just not really happening for anybody. Bobby Witt Jr. has been fine. And they have a lot of holes in the lineup. And so I don't know what the answer is. My guess is they'll get back home. It's a streaky team. They'll start to hit. They'll be okay. But my bigger concern is it good enough now when we get to the end of this season for them to end up being where we thought they could be? And I don't know if I think the answer to that question as it currently stands is yes. So what are the options then? And what does the team need to be thinking about, the organization need to be thinking about? Well, the trade deadline. And I've told you before that I feel like this is a year for the Royals that they're going to be hyper aggressive at the deadline. They're going to, if needed, be willing to sort of push them all in. They did that to a large degree last year. I think they do it again. But the question with that becomes, can they afford to wait until July? Is what we're seeing a bigger issue? Again, I don't think it is. That's what gets really hard about this early season evaluation. Because last year, it's essentially the same offense plus Jonathan India at the top, who's been okay there, better than what they had a year ago. So it shouldn't be. Can they afford to risk it, though? Can they wait that long? Or do they need to do something sooner? Can they afford to try and deal with it and it costs them games in a hyper-competitive division and a hyper-competitive American League? I don't know that the answer to that question is yes. It may be a year where you need 88 wins to get into the postseason, even with an expanded playoff in Major League Baseball. So then, okay, if you can't wait that long, if you can't get it to that point and sort of sustain until you have teams willing to trade players away, what is then the next best option? And that's where we get into this discussion about Jack Caglio, who he's not right now doing things at the minor league level that are like forcing the Royals' hand, but he's hitting for a ton of power and the ball flies off his bat. He's in Double-A. He's got a lot to prove there. But if he can prove it over 2, 3, 4 weeks, if he can, do those things, that's where all this talk of he's not playing any corner outfield, that's what doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if that ultimately ends up being his spot in the big leagues. But at this point, based on what we've seen at the big league level, honestly, what harm would it do to Jack Caglione to run him out there in Double-A and say, let's see if you can play right field or left field. Let's just see if you can do it. I mean, the dude's a professional baseball player. At some point in his life, I'm sure that he has played the outfield. I assume. That's what I don't understand. I'm not saying he ends up as a corner outfielder as a big leaguer. I'm no, player development guy, but just on the surface, what would it hurt in Double-A to have him play some games in the outfield and see how he does? Isn't that what Double-A's for? Is that really going to hold his offensive development back? That would be the thing I think that critics to that kind of a move would say is that you can't have anything hold him back on offense. And I guess my answer to that would be if him trying to play left field holds him back on offense, they've got bigger issues. I don't know why that would. Why would that hold him back offensively? because he's thinking too much about trying to play a corner outfield spot? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So we'll see. But the only answer outside of some of these guys just sort of getting it together quickly to me right now is Cags. And if it's not that, then it's not going to be anything that can be addressed for a while, because it'll have to be addressed at the trade deadline. And while I think the Royals will be very ready to make that kind of a move, you can't really make it for another 2 months at best, right? You're not going to be able to do that. And can they afford this kind of stretch more than right now? Like, can they do, how many times can they have stretches like this where they just can't drive in any runs, and all of a sudden they look at a road trip where they've lost 6 of 7? Can they really afford to do that? That's the kind of thing, to me, that the Royals have to really pay attention to and think about and try to evaluate as they make decisions up and down the roster to solve this problem that they have right now. We get Jackson Jobe and Cole Ragans tonight. That is a clear pitching advantage. Jobe's been fine for Detroit. He's been pretty good. It's a clear pitching advantage, though, for the Royals. It's a game they need to win. Jobe, his last time out, went 6 innings, didn't allow a run. He hadn't allowed more than 3 runs in any start this year. So he's not been lights out, but he's been okay. He's been fine. They ought to be able to score on Jackson Jobe. You've got Ragans on the mound. You go Ragans, Lugo, Waka. The Royals need to have an opportunity to win the next 3 games. And they need to do it behind. And that's the other frustrating part about this. Is like, listen to some of these scores in this stretch of these losses. 6-3, 4-1, 4-2, 4-3. Yesterday was 6-1. They got their butts kicked a little bit yesterday. But they've had opportunities to win all these games. And they haven't won any of them in this little run. So Ragans is on the bump, but give him more than 2 runs. Like, we need a Royals win badly. We need like a 2-0. Like, come on, score a little bit. This team is capable. The offense was not something that was supposed to be an issue this year. Vinny Pasquantino is healthy. We saw Melendez and Renfroe both end the year stronger than they started it. And they added Jonathan India at the top of the lineup. And oh, by the way, now they figured out a way to get Michael Garcia to play center field. Like, what a development that is. And they just can't do, like, it's just crazy. It doesn't make sense. This thing the team was so good at last year, driving in runs and being opportunistic, being this bad for this stretch this year, doesn't make a lot of sense. They got to get it figured out. I don't know what they can do. They need a day off, probably in a bad way. The next time they get one of those is Monday. And then they get 6 straight at home, right? And then you get the Rockies and the Astros. Those are winnable games. For sure they're winnable games. They don't play the White Sox, if that's what you're looking for, until May 5th. So it's going to be a while there. But they got to get it figured out. This has been very frustrating to see the Royals struggle through this way. And it's just not, it doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel right. It still feels like this is a really good team. So they'll play. We'll catch a lot of the Royals this weekend. You got them Saturday. They'll join in progress over on KNSS. They get day baseball, and then Sunday right here on KFH on Easter Sunday. So a lot of opportunities here. This is what they want. They get 3 games at Detroit, but they've got their dudes, right? Ragans, Lugo, Waka. You've got your dudes on the hill. Sunday, you'll stare Skubal, who's as good as there is in baseball right now, in the face. Probably adds a little more pressure into the games where you have Ragans and Lugo going. Right? Doesn't it? I think it does. I absolutely think it does. And they've got to get it done. They have to get it done. 5:40 first pitch tonight. Jackson Jobe. Again, he was good his last time out. That's a gettable pitcher. Go win this game. Stop this bleeding. Royals trying to get it done. Playing tonight. Isn't baseball the best and the worst all at the same time? Isn't it? We do this. There's 162 games. Baseball people live and die by what happens in single games in April, right? It's tough. It's tough. But the Royals have got to get it done. A couple other headlines for you yesterday. Roster moves. Well, really just one actual completed roster move, and that was the Shockers. We talked about this in the last hour, but just real quick, Dylan Batee is coming over from Temple. He was a pretty highly regarded high school prospect. Didn't do a ton last year at Temple, but a new opportunity there. It puts a roster on the floor that's getting interesting for Wichita State. It's hard to set expectations with this roster because really everybody that is on the team currently is going to step into a much larger role than they've ever played before, with the exception of Giles coming in from UNC Greensboro, who did score quite a bit for them. He's a good shooter. Like he's right now, if you looked at all of this, the guy offensively that you would look to on the roster early to get the points. You think Kendall out of Barton, junior college star, could do something. But again, that's making a level jump we're just not real sure about. And then they brought in a big-time defender in Boyd. Batee didn't score really do much at all for Temple, so I don't know how you set his expectations any higher than Zion Pipkin, TJ Williams, Noah Hill, any of these other guys, Tyrus Rothen-Mays. Joy Agoveda is another guy who could potentially do something. But right now, the Wichita State roster is a little different than we're used to seeing in college basketball, and they still have 4 spots to fill. But it's a little bit different because there's that experience. Teams that start over are starting over, but they're bringing in pretty experienced players typically. Wichita State hadn't done that yet. Not for the most part. Outside of, a couple of guys, this right now looks a little bit different. I don't know how much room there is still to wiggle out there. What's in the portal? Again, I say this all the time. It's impossible to follow it. But hopefully they're gaining some momentum to just get some more experienced dudes. And then we'll get a chance to see Paul Mills try to coach him up. It's going to be very different than it was a year ago when we knew a lot about the roster coming in. We don't know really anything about this group, but that happened yesterday. KU, nothing official out there. We talked in the last hour, and you go back and listen to the full discussion on the Odyssey app about PJ Haggerty out of Memphis. Shocker fans will, remember him well. He's out there, and he's kind of a with the ball guy. Go get, but I think that in Darren Peterson's there, the just superstar freshman coming in. Look, I don't think that should hold KU back. And I used Houston as the example. I think that can work in today's college basketball. Think about, even go back to, the year KState made their deep run in year 1 under Jerome Tang. They had 2 ball in their hand guys, and Keontae Johnson and Marquise Noel. Like we saw it again with Houston last year, LJ Cryer and Emmanuel Sharp. It didn't feel like Houston had any other offense a lot of the time. They crashed the boards. They played good defense, and they let those 2 guys go try to get buckets. And it should have won them a national championship, honestly. So, you see a guy like Haggerty pop up, and what I see is a talented player that can score. And if I'm KU and I have and it feels like KU's kind of holding on to their cards a little bit here, right? No splashy transfer moves made just yet. That's the kind of thing that piques my interest if I'm a KU fan. I will not be surprised at all if they go after a guy like Haggerty. Haggerty's going to be expensive, though. Man, he's going to command a ton of money wherever it is that he goes. So we'll just have to see about that. But it's been a good Friday. If you missed anything that we've talked about, you can, of course, go back and listen on the Odyssey app. When we return, we are going to let you know what's coming up this weekend. Stick around. More Sports Daily right after this.
Chick, are you familiar with the Dow Jones Index?
I am. However, I'm more of a FTSE guy.
The FTSE, the